My name's Celia. I'm 27. I have a sister, Marla, who's 25. We've never been close. Not even as kids. And it wasn't some dramatic falling out or anything. It was just always off. I was the quiet one growing up. The type of kid who got lost in books, followed the rules, and didn't need much attention. Marla was the opposite. Loud, emotional, big reactions. She wasn't exactly the favorite, but when you grow up with a kid who throws tantrums in restaurants and sobs during family dinners, you start to notice who the adults cater to. That was always Marla's power, the squeaky wheel. It started small. When we were kids, if something broke, like a vase or a lamp, she had this way of turning the story around mid-cry. I'd walk into her room after hearing a crash, and by the time our parents got there, I was already being scolded for leaving stuff out or not keeping an eye on your sister. I tried to explain, but Marla would already be hugging Mom's leg, sniffling into her sleeve. As we got older, it didn't stop. She snuck out at 16, got caught, and said it was my idea. I lost phone privileges for a month. She failed a math test and claimed I distracted her the night before by making noise in the next room. I got grounded. Again. By college, I had learned to keep my head down and just leave her be. When I graduated and got a job in a different state, it felt like a breath of fresh air. I didn't go no contact or anything. We still had the occasional call, a couple family dinners during the holidays, but space helped. A lot. Then 3 months ago, she came to visit me. She'd just gotten out of a bad relationship and wanted a change of scenery. I agreed to let her stay for a week. Big mistake. By day 2, she was already on thin ice with one of my roommates. By day 4, she'd picked a fight with my closest friend, Sarah, accusing her of looking down on her. She stormed out in the middle of a dinner I cooked. The next morning, she accused me of not having her back. When she flew home, I thought that was it. I even told Sarah, well, at least that drama's over. Then came the call. 2 weeks later, she told me she got engaged to this guy named Dorian. I'd met him once during her visit when we all went out to dinner. He seemed normal, quiet, polite, not her usual type, which is probably why I assumed this might actually go somewhere. Then she called me, crying, saying I'd ruined everything. Apparently, I'd made a joke at dinner that embarrassed her in front of him. I asked her what I said. She couldn't even repeat it. Just said I was always trying to undermine her. That same day, our mom called. Frustrated, tired sounding. What did you say to upset Marla this time? That's when something in me cracked. I didn't fight it. I didn't explain. I just let it sit. I started wondering what would happen if I stopped trying to clear my name every time she pointed the finger. What if, for once, I just leaned into it, gave her exactly what she wanted? The opportunity came faster than I expected. A week later, I got an invitation to their engagement party, small gathering. Immediate family, a few friends. Hosted at our parents' house. I almost didn't go, but curiosity won. Before the party, Marla sent me a string of weird texts. Stuff like, just please be normal tonight and don't cause any drama. Drama? I hadn't even RSVP'd yet. The night of the party, I showed up on time. Dorian barely looked at me. Their mutual friends kept glancing my way like I'd grown a second head. Even my aunt, who usually asks about my job, just offered a tight smile and walked off. That's when I knew. Marla had already been talking. Halfway through the evening, she pulled me aside. She didn't bother with small talk. She just went straight in. Accused me of flirting with Dorian during her visit. Said he'd been weird ever since, and she knew it was because of me. Old me would have denied it. Fought back. Got flustered. Not this time. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You're right. I did it. Exactly like you think." She froze. No comeback. No tears. Just silence. Then Dorian appeared. He'd overheard. I could tell. He didn't look mad at me. He looked like a man who'd finally seen the last puzzle piece click into place. I walked back into the party like nothing had happened. That was the moment everything shifted. I woke up the morning after the engagement party to 17 missed calls from my mom, 3 from my aunt, and a long email from my dad with the subject line. But what exactly happened? I didn't respond. The email was polite but clearly confused. My dad wanted to clear the air and asked if I was okay. He also mentioned that Dorian had stormed out of the house after overhearing my conversation with Marla and hadn't been back since. Apparently, he left without taking his overnight bag. Still, no response from me. I checked Marla's socials. Silent. No story updates. No new engagement photos. No angry vague posts either, which was more unusual. She hadn't texted me. She hadn't posted. I messaged a mutual friend who was at the party. They said Marla left early and went to stay at a hotel. For most of the day, my phone kept buzzing. Family group chat, old high school friends, even my mom's best friend messaged me asking if everything was okay. Everyone seemed to think I was joking when I told Marla I had flirted with Dorian. Some thought it was sarcasm. One person literally texted, classic Celia deadpan, "You really had us going." I didn't correct them. I just said one thing to anyone who asked. I gave Marla what she wanted. That night, Dorian called me. I almost didn't pick up, but I was curious. He sounded calm, not angry, just tired. He said he'd been thinking about things since Marla's visit. Said her version of events always seemed a little off, like she was filling in blanks that no one asked her to explain. After the party, he finally stopped trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. He told me that for months, Marla had been telling him I was jealous of their relationship, that I talked behind her back, mocked their plans, and told people they wouldn't last. None of it was true, but she repeated it so often he started to wonder if he was missing something. When I confessed at the party, something in him clicked. Not because he believed it, but because it showed him how far she needed to go to keep the lie alive. I didn't defend myself. I didn't deny anything. I just let him talk. The next day, my mom called in a panic. Marla hadn't shown up to work, wasn't answering calls, said she was publicly humiliated and didn't know how to fix it. Then Grace messaged me. She and Marla had been best friends since high school. She apologized for ever doubting me, said things started to make more sense now. Over the years, Marla had quietly turned people against me with little comments, made-up stories, and dramatic half-truths. Grace admitted she always assumed there was more to it, but now she wasn't so sure. Another day passed. Then our cousin Jamie, who's always been on Marla's side, unfollowed her on Instagram. That one actually surprised me. Jamie never takes sides. Later that evening, I got a text from Marla. It was weird. She said she forgave me, asked if I could just say it was a joke, like we used to do as kids. She even included a crying emoji. I replied once, just one line, you blamed me for everything. So I gave you the version of me you wanted. Now deal with her. Didn't hear back. But then Dorian sent a final message. Not to me, at least not directly. It was addressed to Marla, but I was blind copied on it. The message wasn't angry, it was organized. He listed everything that led to his decision to leave. Specific examples. Times she twisted stories. The time she claimed I insulted her cooking when I'd actually just offered to help in the kitchen. The lies she told about me mocking their honeymoon plans. The fake screenshots she showed him, which he later realized were edited. At the end of the email, he wrote, all signs pointed back to how you treated your sister. After that, everything went quiet. The calls slowed down. The messages stopped. No one reached out for a few days. The group chat stayed silent. I sat in my apartment, the same one she'd visited 3 months ago, and realized there was no rage left. No gloating. No sense of winning. Just silence. For the first time in years, I wasn't trying to explain myself. I wasn't scrambling to undo something Marla told people. I just let it be. And the fallout kept rolling all by itself. About 2 weeks after the engagement party, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from in years, an old classmate who now works in the same company as Marla. She didn't want to get into details, but said Marla had been called into an HR meeting after accusing a coworker of spying on her and reporting things back to me. Apparently, the coworker had mentioned seeing me on social media, and that was enough for Marla to go off. That spiraled fast. She made a scene, started crying in the middle of the office, and had to be walked out. A few days after that, our aunt, one of the more neutral people in the family, reached out. She wanted to host a family dinner, just us, our parents, her, and Marla. Said she thought it might help clear the air. I agreed. Not because I wanted to fix anything, but because I wanted to see how bad it had really gotten. The dinner was held at my parents' place. When I got there, my dad was already in the kitchen awkwardly stirring a pot of something he clearly wasn't cooking. My mom looked like she'd been bracing herself all day. Marla showed up last. She looked rough, hair done but not quite right, makeup that looked like it was covering up more than it was highlighting. She avoided eye contact with everyone and sat down without saying a word. It was silent for a while. Small talk didn't land. My aunt asked about work and got a vague shrug in response. Then, without warning, Marla dropped it. Said she was being gaslit by me. That I was letting everyone believe I'd flirted with her fiancé when I knew it wasn't true. That I was letting her drown in something I could easily fix. No one reacted. She looked around the table waiting for someone to step in. I leaned back in my chair and asked one question. When have I ever been believed even when I did correct you? That shut the table down. My dad opened his mouth like he was about to say something but just closed it again. He looked confused, like he was finally starting to process how many times that same dynamic had played out over the years. Then, in the middle of the silence, Marla's phone buzzed. And then again. She pulled it out, read something, locked the screen, and tossed it into her purse without a word. Later, I found out from Grace, her former best friend, that Marla had just been removed from another group chat. Apparently, one of the people in it brought up the engagement party fallout, and several others chimed in with stories about Marla twisting facts or playing the victim. They kicked her out before the conversation even ended. Later that night, I got a DM from someone who used to work with Marla. We'd never spoken before. She said she didn't want to start drama, but thought I should know. Marla used to talk about me at work. A lot. Said I was jealous of her career and always tried to sabotage her. She even blamed one of her missed deadlines on a family emergency I had apparently caused. According to her, people at the office are finally comparing notes. A few nights later, around 9 p.m., I heard someone knock on my apartment door. It was Marla. No makeup, hoodie, sweatpants, red eyes. She didn't yell. She didn't even start off angry. Just walked in without being invited, sat down on the edge of my couch, and asked me to fix it. Said all I had to do was tell people I lied. I told her I'd do it, but only if she admitted everything else. All the lies she's told about me over the last 15 years. Every single one. To my face. In writing. She stared at me. Didn't blink. Then she stood up, screamed something I couldn't even make out, threw her bag across the room, grabbed it again, and left. Didn't hear from her after that. The next day I got a message from Dorian's sister. I'd met her once at a brunch. We barely spoke. She just said, "Thank you." She said she knew something was off when Marla constantly painted me as this jealous, bitter person. I said Dorian was treated more like a prop than a partner, and that Marla would always twist things to make herself the center. She said what I did at the engagement party finally cleared the smoke. A week later, our mom called me. She didn't bring up the party, didn't defend Marla, just asked, "Did you really mean it?" I told her, "I don't need you to believe me. I just need you to remember this next time she cries wolf." That was the last time we spoke about it, but the fallout didn't stop, and neither did the silence. After the dinner and the blow-up at my apartment, I didn't hear from Marla again. No texts, no calls, nothing through our parents either. I didn't reach out, I didn't need to. But the silence didn't mean people weren't talking. A few coworkers and mutual acquaintances started messaging me, not in a gossipy way, more like they were trying to understand what had really happened. I kept it short, just said things had been building for years and I wasn't interested in rehashing it. That seemed to be enough. A week later, I heard Marla had been telling people I manipulated Dorian into breaking up with her. She told one of her old roommates that I had feelings for him and had been chipping away at their relationship from the start. Another person told me Marla even hinted that I'd been texting Dorian behind her back. None of that was true. But she needed a new version of the story, now that the old one wasn't working. Meanwhile, Dorian moved out of state. Temporary job contract. Quiet exit. No posts. No drama, just gone. Before leaving, he told a few people, mutual friends mostly, that Marla had been twisting facts for months. Said it wasn't just about me. He listed examples, said he wished he'd stepped away sooner. He didn't contact me again after that, and I didn't expect him to. A cousin of ours, Rachel, reached out next. She used to take Marla's side by default, said I was too cold and too logical. This time, she messaged to apologize. Said she didn't realize how many times Marla had redirected blame until it started affecting people besides me. Still, some of the family acted like it would all blow over. My mom called and said she hoped the girls would make up soon. I told her, not this time. She changed the subject. Marla's social media slowly started changing. First, the engagement photos disappeared. Then her bio changed. Then the couple posts. Nothing dramatic. Just erased, piece by piece. She never made a statement, but it was clear it was over. Around that time, I heard from someone who worked with her. Marla had been transferred off her usual team. Word was, after the HR incident, her manager decided it would be better to assign her elsewhere. The problem was she now had to report to someone she clashed with during a previous project. It's not ideal, but not surprising either. At home, the family split was getting more visible. A few relatives unfollowed her. Others posted vague quotes about truth always coming out that were clearly aimed at the situation. A couple of them still messaged me saying things like, I know Marla can be difficult, but maybe this is just a phase. Then came the money problem. My mom called. Said Marla was short on rent. Dorian used to cover part of it, and now she was scrambling. My mom didn't outright ask, but it was implied, maybe I could help just this once. I told her no explanations, no guilt. Just no. A few days later, I heard Marla wasn't invited to a mutual friend's birthday party. The host told someone it was to avoid drama because of how she treated me. Word got back to her. Apparently she lost it. The fallout didn't stop there. I ran into one of her ex-friends at the grocery store. We never used to talk, but she came up and said, I get it now. She told me Marla used to bring me up all the time, how I was always out to get her, how I thought I was better than her. She admitted she used to believe it, but after seeing what's happened lately, she wasn't so sure anymore. That night, I remembered something small from years ago. Marla used to take my clothes and wear them to parties, then lie and say they were hers. She'd even cut the tags out. At the time, I thought it was just sister stuff. Now it felt like something else entirely. I wasn't trying to destroy her. I wasn't enjoying the fallout, but I also wasn't stepping in to stop it. For once, she had to live inside the story she'd spent years building. And this time, no one was running to pull her out of it. 3 weeks after the whole rent situation, Marla popped back up on social media. New guy. His name was Alan. No intro post, no soft launch, just pictures of them at brunch. Then 2 days later, holding hands at a food festival. He looked nice. Normal. Not like her usual type. From what I gathered, Alan was new in town and didn't really know anyone in our circle. Someone said they met at a gym class. She'd moved fast again. I didn't think much of it until I ran into him. Totally by accident. A mutual friend hosted a game night and didn't mention who was on the guest list. I walked in, said hi to a few people, and then this guy, smiling, friendly, clearly trying to make a good impression, introduced himself as Alan. When he said he was dating Marla, I just nodded and said, oh, no warning, no backstory, just let it sit. He asked how I knew her. I said, family, and moved on. Didn't add anything, didn't drop hints, nothing. I didn't say a word about it afterward either. But 2 days later, someone forwarded me a screenshot. Marla had sent out a group message, one of those dramatic rants where she tried to get ahead of a story no one was telling. She claimed I had poisoned Alan against her, said I was trying to destroy every good thing she had, that I was acting like a stalker and spreading lies. I hadn't spoken a single word to him about her. A week later, someone else messaged me, a friend of a friend who said Alan had reached out asking about Marla. Nothing scandalous, just curiosity. Something felt off to him. He started connecting dots. Turns out he'd spoken to at least 3 people who had known her over the years. All of them gave slightly different stories, but one pattern kept showing up. Blame shifting, control, and chaos that always circled back to someone else being the problem. A few days after that, Alan just vanished. Not blocked, not ghosted, just faded. Marla deleted the couple pics and went quiet again. Then came the paranoia. Someone messaged me from Marla's workplace. Again, said she had another meltdown in the break room after accusing someone of reporting on her to me. The accusation didn't even make sense. The person she blamed didn't know me. Marla's boss got involved. She was warned about her attitude. She tried to frame it as sibling harassment and claimed I was targeting her reputation. No one bought it. Around that time, our dad's birthday came up. Small dinner. Just immediate family. I showed up a few minutes early. Marla was late. When she walked in, she was overdressed, full makeup, styled hair, heels like she was going to a wedding, not dinner with her parents. She didn't say hello to anyone. Didn't even look at me. Dinner was quiet. Lots of chewing. Our aunt tried to talk about a vacation she took, but it didn't go anywhere. Halfway through the meal, Marla suddenly started crying. No lead up. Just full tears. Shaking voice. She said she just wanted things to be normal again. Nobody moved. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even look directly at her. I just said, then maybe stop treating me like the enemy in your imaginary battles. She froze, looked around. But this time, no one jumped in. Not even our mom. After dinner, as I was helping clean up, my dad came over. Didn't say much. Just nodded and said thanks for keeping things from getting worse. That was the first time he acknowledged anything about it. It was quiet, but it meant something. And from then on, the shift in the family dynamic wasn't just noticeable, it was permanent. A few weeks after that birthday dinner, something unexpected happened. Word got around that our grandparents were making changes to their will. The reason? Family complications. That's what they told one of my cousins, who then told my aunt, who told my mom, who of course told me. It wasn't confirmed officially, but that was enough to get the whole family buzzing. A few days later, I got a phone call. My grandmother. Not a group call, not a put your mother on kind of thing. Just her directly asking if we could talk. That alone was rare. I hadn't had a one-on-one conversation with her in years. She didn't sound angry, just tired. She told me she'd been hearing very different versions of events, from me and from Marla, and was having trouble knowing what to believe. I didn't get emotional. I didn't vent. I didn't rehash every fight or try to convince her of anything. I just told her 3 specific stories. The first was the vase when we were kids, Marla broke it, blamed me, and I got grounded. The second was the night she told Dory and I insulted their honeymoon plans, when all I'd done was ask about their travel dates. The third was the engagement party and how I stopped defending myself, how I just agreed with her, and watched everything unravel. My grandmother didn't interrupt. She asked a few follow-up questions, mostly for clarity. Then she thanked me and said, "That explains a lot." That was the end of the call. 4 days later, Marla found out I had met with our grandparents. I didn't say a word about it, but somehow it got back to her, probably through a cousin. And it didn't go over well. She had a full meltdown. I wasn't there for it, but I heard about it from 3 different people. She accused me of trying to turn the family against her and started texting everyone she thought would be on her side. Some of them called me. One aunt was clearly uncomfortable. Another cousin messaged to say they felt stuck in the middle. I didn't play along. I gave every single person the same line. "I'm done taking responsibility for her stories. You're all adults. Ask better questions." And that was it. A week later, I ran into Dorian. Total coincidence. He was in town visiting family, and we bumped into each other at a bookstore of all places. It wasn't awkward. He asked how things were. I asked the same. We stood there chatting for a few minutes. No tension, no weirdness. Before we said goodbye, he told me something. Leaving Marla, he said, was the best decision he ever made. He apologized again for not seeing through things sooner, and for letting her create a version of me that wasn't real. I just nodded. He left. I didn't save his number. It wasn't that kind of moment. Meanwhile, Marla's circle kept shrinking. Not because of me. I didn't say anything. But more and more people were stepping back on their own. Friends stopped inviting her to things. Coworkers avoided group chats she was in. Even her gym buddy blocked her on Instagram. The difference was, people were finally seeing a pattern. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was just clear. Then my mom called again, casually mentioned that the grandparents had made some changes to the will. She didn't know details, but said they were trying to be fair to both girls now, which told me a lot. I didn't ask for more. That night, I opened my planner and wrote a single line. When you stop apologizing for breathing, the people who thrived on your guilt don't know what to do with themselves. The story wasn't over. Rena. But the part where I kept playing defense? That was done for good. 6 months passed without a single call from Marla. By then, most of the noise had died down. No more family drama calls. No panic texts. Even the group chat had gone quiet, mostly after Marla dropped one too many vague posts that no one bothered to respond to. One day, she hinted someone in the family had stolen opportunities from her. Another time she posted, "Funny how people switch up when the truth comes out." No one bit. Then the invitation came, a family reunion. All organized by my aunt, one of the last people who still tried to keep everyone connected. It was casual, backyard style. Cousins, grandparents, food, nothing too formal. I thought about skipping it, but I wanted to see the cousins I actually liked, and my grandparents, who now treated me differently. No side eyes, no quiet suspicion, just respect. Marla showed up 45 minutes late. She walked in like she was stepping onto a stage. Oversized sunglasses, red lipstick, tight smile. She said nothing to anyone, not even our mom. Just floated around the edges like she was checking for someone to notice her. She looked calm on the surface, but everything about her was too polished. The smile was stiff. The jokes landed wrong. She laughed at things no one else was laughing at. The contrast between us was obvious. I was sitting with my younger cousins talking about a podcast. She hovered for a second, then drifted off. A few of the adults noticed, my aunt especially. She quietly pulled Marla aside. No yelling, no big scene, just a short conversation. About 30 minutes later, it all cracked. One of the cousins mentioned I'd helped them with a college application. Said something simple like, "Celia's always been the patient one." Marla snapped. She raised her voice, said I was turning the whole family against her, said I'd twisted everything, and lied to make everyone think she was crazy. No one interrupted. I stood up, turned to her, and said, "You spent your whole life blaming me because it kept you safe from yourself. Now that no one believes you, you're just mad. There's no one left to stand in front of the mirror for you." She stared at me, then walked out. Didn't say another word. Later that evening, I got messages from 3 relatives. None of them thanked me for the confrontation. They thanked me for the restraint, said they were proud of how I handled it. A week after the reunion, I got a letter from my grandparents' lawyer. A formal note confirming a revised inheritance in recognition of long-standing character and conduct. No mention of Marla, just me. I didn't show anyone. A few nights later, I found an old notebook in a drawer. It had a list of things I'd written years ago, times I'd been blamed for things Marla did. Marla, things I thought were my fault. I tore out the pages, one by one, threw them away. Then I locked my door and left to meet friends for dinner. And for the first time, the silence in my life didn't feel like something was missing. It felt earned. I gave her what she always wanted, my blame. I destroyed her because she never wanted the truth. Just a place to dump the parts of herself she couldn't live with.